Hey everybody, welcome to the Philco repair.
Okay everybody, this is the first official episode of our Philco 46-1201, and I've gotten the case open. Pretty ingenious how they did it. They have these spring-loaded pins here on either side, and it locks into the mechanism here, and it just flips open, so pretty cool. And the first thing I noticed on this thing is it seems to be completely original. I don't think anyone's ever been in here. I haven't taken the chassis off yet, but this thing looks like no one's messed with it. The flocking on the turntable, which typically is the first thing to deteriorate, is in amazing shape. This is fine. I really don't think this thing was used very much. A few things I noticed right away was that the tube lineup, which they have listed here, is different than the schematic I have. Now, I have the same model, but I think this is a different revision. And you'll see there, let me see if I can zoom in there. It says code 130. That's what's on the label. And if I look at my schematic, it says code 122. Right there. So I have to find a different schematic. This is the wrong one because the tubes are different. For example, this says that the rectifier is a 35Y4. And if you look here, it's a 50X6. So I have to get the right schematic. But on this one I decided to be a little brave and see what happens if I power it up, because it looks so intact. And what happens is I do get the filter cap hum, and I don't get any audio. So I'm going to have to take that chassis off. But I wanted to show you how this turntable works. So I'm going to power it up for just a minute and show you that. So let me hit the power. And you'll see this thing has a Christmas bulb in there, which is unusual. Typically these things have smaller bulbs. So let me flip the power on to turntable. Oops, got to turn my power on here. Okay, here we go. Alright, so let me turn it on to phono. Now, you'll see the turntable's turning, but you wouldn't see that when the case is closed. And what you do is you open up this door. Let me do that again and show you. You open up this door, and this little pin drops down, and you put in your record, and you'll see there's a little stop right here, right there. And when you close the door, this lifts up and it starts spinning. Pretty cool. Now again, I don't have any audio because I've got that filter cap on, but the turntable appears to be working. And this is very ingenious design, I have to say, for that era. You know, the arm is nothing more than a piece of sheet metal, right? Or aluminum, whatever they used back then. And when you open this door, the arm will lift up, and the pin inside the record drops down, and I can put my hand right here and pull this out. Very, very cool. So I love the design on this thing. And I'm going to take this and turn this over to the radio side, so the turntable stops turning, and of course you can hear the hum. I did test all the tubes. I'm going to turn this off because I don't want to do any more damage here. Okay, I did test all the tubes. So I've taken all the tubes out and I've tested them in my Knight 600B tube tester, and all the tubes check out good. So I have a good set of tubes, and these are actually octal tubes in this thing. Which I've never really worked on before. It really doesn't matter except they lock in. So that's what we've got going on here. So my next step is going to be to take this chassis out and take a look underneath and see what's going on with those caps. I guarantee you if I change the filter caps out, I'll probably get some audio. Anyway, that's my next step. I'll be back. Alright, so before I start this section, I want to just make a disclaimer. If you are not familiar with these radios or comfortable with working on these things, you got to proceed with caution. These things can kill you. All right, there's a lot of voltage running through these things. And if you don't know what you're doing, don't do this. Okay? Always use precautions. Anyway, so here's where we are. Took out the chassis, and it's got all original caps in there, and every one of them is melted and not in good shape. When I turned it on, I originally had just a loud hum. I've changed out all of the electrolytics. This is a double 4010. This is a 15150. And this is a 15150. And you'll see that I've got them just loosely gator wired in here, right? Remember what I told you, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do this. I actually have some audio now, but it's very faint. I don't really have any AM stations around here, but so I've made progress. So I now have the audio section somewhat working. I have to go in and change all these caps. I think once I change these caps, this thing comes back to life big time. Every one of these things is just melted and in really, really bad shape. You see this cap they have here? They've got a wire wrapped around it. That's called a gimmick. I have to look at something else. By the way, another problem. The schematic I have is for a code 122. This is a code 130 radio, completely different. They've changed the model around and they use a different rectifier. I can't find the schematic for this, but I'm not terribly concerned about it at the moment. I'm going to replace these caps, which I know are bad, and then see where I stand. So at this point, I know my tubes are good. I know I know the electrolytics were bad. I've tested them with an ESR meter, and they're just infinite resistance. They're not good. And I'm sure the rest of these other resistors are just way out of tolerance. I'm sorry, capacitors. So that's going to be the next plan, is replace those caps. I'm going to use the pigtail method in there because there's not a lot of room to work. So I'll be very careful. And then I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to put these electrolytics in there, but that's easy. I've got plenty of room here along the top. And then the other problem with this model, I don't know if I can show you, I don't want to touch this thing, is I showed you the Christmas bulb under there. Well, those bulbs, when they designed these things, were way too hot, and what they do is they melt the front. I guess they call it the diffuser. And mine is also warped because just from being heated up. So I'm going to see about replacing that bulb with something less generative of heat. We'll see how that goes. So that's where we are for today. We've made some progress. We went from 0 to some kind of audio. I heard some Spanish station a few minutes ago, and we'll see where we're going. Like I said, replacing these caps is going to make a huge difference. Yeah, you see, I think the volume control has to be cleaned. That's not good. We got a lot of work to do. Anyway, that's where we are. I'll come back when I have all these caps changed out.
Proceed with caution. Please be careful and don't work on these if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, we're going to start out here, and I guess you can hear Pink Floyd playing. It seems to be all you hear when you watch my videos. But you could see here that this is working. I've taken it out of the case, obviously. And I've got a number of wires here that go to the turntable, which I've cut. I had a huge struggle getting this thing working. By the way, what you're looking at here, this is a piece of, I guess, plastic of some sort back in the 40s. And you'll notice this particular radio has a Christmas bulb in there. And what you'll see here is just discoloration from the heat. I'm going to see if I can find a 3-watt LED bulb or something I can throw in there. But anyway, that's getting ahead of ourselves. So the radio is working. Just got it working a few minutes ago. Let me flip over and I'll tell you the story about what I've been doing for the last week on this thing. Be right back. Okay, there's the underside. The radio's still on, obviously. I'm not going to touch it. Right here is one of the caps that had to be replaced. There's another one right underneath it. This is one of the electrolytics. This is a 15 microfarad, 15 microfarad, 47, and this is a 10. And those are the main electrolytic filter caps that are in the unit. Here's a couple of other caps that I've had to replace here. And the reason why I had a problem with this is when I first tried to turn it on and use it, wasn't getting anything, nothing. Trying to do an alignment didn't help. And I took out this IF can right here, which is the, let's see what it is. I guess it's the first, yeah, it's the T2 oscillator. So it's the first stage. And I had silver mica disease. And I was able to take it apart, clean the mica, put it back in, which is very delicate, obviously. And the wires that were all connected to it were really, really in bad shape, so I put new wires on it. That would be this blue wire here, this green wire, there's a red wire that goes right here, and this white one. And I was able to put it back together. And obviously when you take things like this apart, any settings that were on the screws are obviously gone because you've been messing with it. So I've had a struggle trying to do an alignment. I have two signal generators. I have this Philco dual channel one, and it's okay. And then I have this this Heath kit. It's an IG102, I think. Well, I never really tested this out. It doesn't work well. I connect it to a scope and it's really noisy. So I'm going to have to fix that one day. That'll be another video. And this thing, I was able to get a signal out of it, enough to get the alignment that I have here. And what I have here is channel 800, or a frequency of 800, and it's actually on a radio station I have running in the house, connected to an FM radio. So I'm listening to an FM station on this AM radio. But the good news is I've got it running now. So next thing I'll be able to do is connect the turntable and see if the needle works. When I first tried it out, there was no audio. So I have no idea if the needle that's in the turntable works. So let me show you what the turntable looks like. Right back. Alright, here's the turntable, and you can see that the flocking on the platter is perfect. I don't think this thing got much use. And it's an interesting design. I have the needle at the moment off, disconnected. But what this thing does is it uses 10-inch records. And when you slide the record in, it butts up right against this lip here. But if you have I guess they had 12-inch records at that point. Let me pull this back and you'll see what happens when you push in. Oops. See those little arms right there? Like that? When you put a larger record in, it'll spread those arms across. And it's really, really ingenious for 1946. But anyway, I'll do another video on the turntable, but this is a really cool mechanism. Let's go back to the radio for a minute. Alright, so anyway, you'll see I've got these caps strapped in here. This one is rigid, so I don't really have to worry about that bouncing around. I am going to change the power cord. The power cord's in bad shape, and I'll replace some of this tubing here and do that. But I've got a working radio. I get some good volume on it. It's got a decent little speaker right there. No problem with the speaker. The speaker's in great shape. And I've got a working radio. So my next step here is going to be to get the turntable going and see where that leads. Oh, by the way, I did replace this bleed resistor as well. This is a 8.2K resistor which goes across the filter caps, and obviously it bleeds them when you turn it off, so it drains them out. No room in here to work at all. A lot of crappy connections in here. When this thing was built, I guess it was built cheaply. I'm sure these things were mass produced. So very, very little room to work in here, but I think I'm in a good spot here. Alright, so my next video will be about the turntable. So for now, we're in decent shape. Alright, this is Ron. See you in the next episode.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe.